Love is supposed to be rational, right? We choose partners who make sense, who fit our criteria, who love us back. But what if the most powerful love in human history is completely irrational? A love so intense it breaks every rule, violates every law, and sacrifices everything for the beloved. Today we're exploring 3 sacred nights that reveal God's self-sacrificing, irrational romantic love, the passionate poetry of Song of Solomon, the high priest's most holy night ministry, and Jesus' illegal trial in darkness. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how these seemingly different biblical moments connect to show us the choice we all face between contempt and covenant love. Let me bring in someone who's spent years studying these ancient texts and their modern implications.
You know, when people hear Song of Solomon, they often think it's just about human romance. But according to the ISAR Journal study, this book is called Shir HaShirim in Hebrew, literally meaning the song that surpasses all songs, or the best song among all songs.
So it's like the ultimate love song?
Exactly. But here's what's fascinating. Pete Norcross from Northland College calls it one of the most powerful works of literature that has been written within the course of human history. Its poetically simple metaphor is paralleled against an inherently complex message that has confounded scholars for centuries.
Wait, so scholars are still debating what it means?
Absolutely. The page content indicates theories range from strictly allegorical to strictly sexual. But what's really striking is that this love song was written during a time when polygamy was widespread. Some biblical scholars suggest the Song of Songs actually serves as a protest against polygamy.
A protest against polygamy? How so?
It tells the story of a rural girl, the Shulamite, from the vineyards in the north. The focus is on exclusive, passionate love between 2 people. And the language is incredibly intimate. It uses imagery drawn from nature like gardens, vineyards, lilies, gazelles, and doves to express this deep affection.
But you mentioned this connects to divine love somehow?
Here's where it gets really profound. According to the Inspiration Portal analysis, while the book appears to focus on romantic love, deeper study reveals layers of symbolism reflecting God's covenant relationship with his people and, for Christians, the spiritual union between Christ and the church.
So the passionate human love is actually a metaphor for God's love?
That's the traditional interpretation. But what makes this so powerful is the specific Hebrew word used, dod, which expresses romantic or physical love between a husband and wife. This isn't sanitized, distant divine love. It's passionate, intimate, even irrational.
Irrational how?
Well, look at Song of Solomon 8:6. Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame. That's not rational love, that's obsessive, all-consuming passion.
And that's supposed to represent how God loves us?
According to the research, yes. The ISAR study found that the spiritual message reveals the depth of God's love, which will guide us to understand the extent of our love for him, the purity of our love. It's about love, sacrifice, desire, and true love.
This connects to something else that happens at night, the high priest's ministry. Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. According to Chabad.org, the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, held the holiest position in Judaism. His most prominent responsibility was entering the Holy of Holies on Yom Kippur, when the most sacred time, person, and place converged.
And this happened at night?
Well, Yom Kippur is a full day, but the most sacred moments often extended into the night hours. The high priest's role was to oversee the temple service and act as spiritual leader to the Jewish people. This was the ultimate expression of covenant love, one person standing between God and humanity.
So you have this one person carrying the weight of everyone's relationship with God?
Exactly. And according to the page content, this position required complete subservience to the Almighty. Moses was originally supposed to be high priest, but he lost that right when he initially refused to be God's messenger. His hesitance showed that Aaron's honor was more important to him than God's command.
Wow, so even Moses wasn't considered devoted enough?
Right. The high priesthood demanded total, irrational devotion. And this brings us to the 3rd night scene, Jesus' trial, because what happened there violated every principle of Jewish law, yet became the ultimate expression of covenant love.
How so?
According to Bible Ask, the arrest of Jesus occurred at night in the Garden of Gethsemane. But Jewish law stated that arrests were not to be conducted at night to avoid secrecy and ensure transparency. The Mishnah specifically says trials and related proceedings should take place during the daytime.
So they broke their own laws from the very beginning?
Completely. After the arrest, Jesus was brought before the high priest and the Sanhedrin at night. Jewish law prohibited trials during the night to ensure fairness and public accountability. But according to Truth magazine, there were actually 6 separate trials Jesus endured.
6 trials? That seems excessive.
It was completely illegal. First, there was an informal examination by Annas, the de facto high priest. Then the formal trial before Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin. The page content indicates they found themselves in the unenviable position of having a defendant without a legal accusation or charge.
They had no actual charges?
None that would stick. According to the research, the false witnesses could not agree on their misrepresentations of Jesus' teaching, and no charge could be manufactured to stick. They were literally inventing charges in the middle of the night.
And this is where the covenant love comes in?
Exactly. Because despite this complete violation of justice, Jesus submitted to it. This connects to what we see in the biblical understanding of covenant love. According to Bible Hub, love in the biblical narrative is not merely an emotion or sentiment, but a fundamental requirement of the covenant relationship between God and his people.
So covenant love is about commitment, not just feelings?
Absolutely. The page content explains that in Deuteronomy 6, Yis 4, 5, the Shema declares, "Hear, O Israel, the Oreh our God, the Ord is one. And you shall love the Oreh your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." This emphasizes that love for God must permeate every aspect of being.
But there's a choice involved, right? Between contempt and covenant love?
Yes, and this is where the Hebrew language becomes crucial. According to the research, the primary Hebrew word for love is ahava, derived from the root ahav, meaning to love. But unlike modern notions of love as mere emotion, ahava emphasizes action and commitment.
So it's love that does something?
Exactly. And there's another Hebrew term, chesed, often translated as loving kindness or steadfast love. According to Alatea, chesed communicates God's covenantal loyalty and mercy. Together, ahava and chesed demonstrate a love that is both relational and enduring.
But what about the choice? How do we choose between contempt and this covenant love?
Well, according to the Go Bible study, for most people, love is covenantal, meaning that we love those who love us, and we don't love those who do not love us. But is that true for God? The research shows that God's love is different. It's not conditional on our response.
So God loves first, regardless of whether we love back?
That's the radical nature of covenant love. The page content references John 3:16. God loved the world, therefore he gave his only son to save us. Jesus came to save a lot of people who had never heard of him. Obviously, they had not agreed to love him.
This brings us back to that irrational quality, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Think about it. In the Song of Solomon, you have this passionate, obsessive love. In the high priest's ministry, you have someone willing to risk everything to stand between God and humanity. In Jesus' trial, you have someone submitting to illegal proceedings out of love.
And all three happen in darkness or at night?
Right. Night becomes this sacred space where the most profound expressions of love occur. It's when normal rules don't apply, when passion overrides reason, when covenant love is most clearly revealed.
So what does this mean for us today? How do we apply this understanding of covenant love?
According to the research, if believers can understand and apply the Song of Songs, it is expected that their love for God and others will increase. The findings encompass aspects like love, sacrifice, desire, beauty that enhances harmony, and the purity of love.
But practically speaking, what does choosing covenant love over contempt look like?
Well, the page content indicates that love is intertwined with obedience, suggesting that true love for God manifests in adherence to his laws. But it's not cold duty, it's passionate commitment, like the love described in Song of Solomon.
So it's both emotional and practical?
Exactly. According to the research, Jesus encapsulates the essence of covenant in Matthew 22:3-7-40. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. It's comprehensive.
And the alternative is contempt?
The page content suggests that God reaches a point where he does not love people who have wicked deeds. But the choice is always there. We can choose to position ourselves within God's love or outside of it.
This is really profound. When you step back from all this, the passionate poetry, the priestly sacrifice, the illegal trial, what's the bigger picture?
The bigger picture is that love, real, covenant love, is both the most rational and most irrational thing in the universe. It's rational because it's based on commitment and choice, but it's irrational because it sacrifices everything for the beloved, even when they don't deserve it.
And these 3 night scenes show us different facets of that same love?
Exactly. The Song of Solomon shows us the passion, the high priest shows us the sacrifice, and Jesus' trial shows us the ultimate expression, love that endures even injustice and darkness.
So every day we're making this choice between contempt and covenant love?
According to the research, yes. The page content indicates that love for God is not a momentary feeling but a daily decision. Every day brings opportunities to choose His way over ours. It's about building habits that reflect true devotion.
Here's what strikes me most about this. We started with the idea that love should be rational, but these biblical examples show us that the deepest love is beautifully, sacrificially irrational. It breaks rules, violates expectations, and chooses the beloved over everything else.
And that's exactly what makes it covenant love rather than just human affection. It's not based on what we get back, it's based on an unbreakable commitment that persists even in darkness.
The next time you find yourself in a dark moment, whether literal or metaphorical, remember these 3 sacred nights: the passionate lover in Song of Solomon, the high priest entering the Holy of Holies, and Jesus facing an illegal trial. Each chose covenant love over contempt, sacrifice over safety, commitment over convenience. That's the choice we all face. And maybe, just maybe, choosing the irrational path of covenant love is the most rational thing we can do. Thanks for joining us on Copilot Podcast.